You can hear me live and clear. Yeah, great. I can see people are watching on YouTube, Theta, Trovo, Vim. Everybody, you don't hear him. I know. We're trying to solve some problems live on the fly because we tried to get him into the MSP Waves, the PalNet Discord this morning, and it turns out that we just couldn't. The invite did not work even a tiny bit, which is pretty crappy for him and pretty crappy for you guys. So we're going to try and solve this one more time and just try and make things real nice. Let's see. How about now? Can I hear you now?
Let's see. Let's check.
We're problem solvers and risk takers here. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And it's going to be a gong show, and that's fine. You guys are going to watch me listen to my phone while BookerMan is talking. So that's what we're going to do. And in the meantime, yeah, something is very problematic. Let's put it that way. So I'm going to grab my own live stream. And then we're gonna make it happen, and you guys are gonna be able to look at somebody who's not me. So first of all, you guys. Then we're gonna make it happen, and you guys are gonna be able to look at somebody who's not me. So that's super obnoxious, but that's fine. I'm gonna connect that. We're gonna make it happen. You want a recursive loop? This is how you get a recursive loop. Okay, I'm going to put BookerMan on the screen. I'm literally just going to stop talking, because where we usually start with these shows is we introduce our fabulous friendos. We talk a little bit about why they are doing, why they're doing what they're doing, why it's important, and especially in this case, I had the very good luck to meet BookerMan and kind of get to know about Woo at Splinterfest. It's wild. These guys have been flying under the radar on Hive, and that's wrong. So we have to fix that immediately. So exactly what I'm going to do here is try and create a browser screen to get him on screen so you guys can actually see him. But of course, opening a new live chat has now made it so that I don't have him prepped on the screen. So he's going to talk to you guys in the background here quickly while I fix this and get his fabulous overlay and get his fabulous self up on screen. So I guess, BookerMan, take it away while you're kind of a disembodied floating voice to start with. Maybe talk a little bit about you and your incredible background in wrestling. And then, of course, what Woo is, and by the way, for everybody listening and watching today, Woo must be said in a Ric Flair kind of way. You can't just say Woo as an acronym. You have to Woo, or else. That's it. So go for it, BookerMan. I'm going to try and fix you in the background here.
Yeah, that is very true. You have to definitely say it with some gusto. Actually, the first time I met Crimson Clad was at Splinterfest, and when I brought up the project to her, like right away, she's just like, "How have I not heard about this?" And it made me feel good, which was great because it's like, oh, like, you know, people want to hear about this. But let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about my history in wrestling. So I've actually been in the wrestling business for a decade now, and in various different aspects, whether that be creative, whether that be production. Many different aspects I've been involved in. And when I was in the wrestling business, I was able to see it from a different light that most people wouldn't see it from. Get kind of a nice insider's view on how things run, and all in the biggest arenas, and also the smallest promotions. There is things that can be improved on. For example, independent wrestlers that are up and coming, that are just breaking into the business, a lot of them get kind of used and abused for as long as possible. They'll get paid $50 and a handshake, you know, and they'll do that for a number of years until they finally grow a pair and start asking for more money, start demanding more money. But also in the highest aspects of the sport, you have the wrestlers that are independent contractors in the United States. And what that means is they aren't getting health care. They're not getting the benefits that a normal employee would get. So we as a organization, we as a project, we're looking to actually make improvements in that niche. What we're trying to do is we're trying to fill the void right now, which there's a huge void. Again, if someone gets injured and they lose their career, they're kind of SOL. Hopefully they had some money saved up and hopefully they can make it work. Otherwise, that it's going to be a pretty tough going for them. So we're trying to step in and make an improvement there. We're trying to leave wrestling a better place than when we found it. And the whole concept of this project is bringing old school territory wrestling to the blockchain, specifically Hive. And what I want to do with that is I want to allow people to play an interesting game, learn a little bit more about the sport of wrestling, the history of wrestling, and the wrestlers themselves, and also be able to earn a little bit of crypto, which is our Woo token also. But that is the base gist of me and my project.
All right. So you are now officially up on the screen. People can see you. I can see you. I can hear you. And that was fantastic. So, I mean, we'll call this improvised and then some, but at least we can now talk to each other. So we'll just pretend, for anybody who was here earlier, what we'll do on the replay is we'll just trim off that first 12 minutes where I'm running around like an absolute gibble, and we'll just pretend it never happened. And for the rest of you guys, that's exactly right. Everybody in chat's already going, woo! So one of the things that made me so excited about this, I mean, if you've been around for my shows, and a lot of the people who will probably start jumping into chat who fixed it for Crim, you fucks. A lot of the people jumping into chat will know that I grew up on wrestling. I grew up with a dad who desperately wanted a boy and did not get a boy. And so that's not a problem, but I got to grow up doing a lot of traditionally boy stuff. And so for me, I grew up in the glory days of WWF when it was still WWF, WWE, and of course WCW, like Monday Night Nitro, and I had all the games on my what was the console back then, like
N64
GameCube?
Probably, yeah. Because I know I played a ton of like NWO versus WCW Revenge on N64,
So,
versus WCW Revenge on
sorry, there's gonna be a little bit of a learning curve here because I am, for those people, see more and more people jumping in, there's going to be a bit of a learning curve because right now the only way I can hear BookerMan is on my own stream, slightly delayed through my phone. So I'm going to try and manage this, and I'm going to pretend that you guys have no idea that that's what's happening. And you know what? The thing that actually kills me is I had something queued up specifically waiting for this moment, and I can't do it now because on my browser, BookerMan is there, but I literally had Michael Buffer's, ring intro, let's get ready to rumble. Oh, for Christ's sakes. This is going to be the end of my life.
Oh, I feel so bad for you. I'm not even going to lie. It's going to be, I feel horrible.
The big thing that I kind of wanted to touch on right at the start, and as we're just starting to kind of get people in here, is what you were mentioning about leaving wrestling a better place than you found it. Because I think a place in wrestling to kind of make a really important impact on wrestlers is a big one. And when we say impact, we don't mean getting somebody, choke slammed into the mat. You guys know for a fact we've talked about on this show, often actually on Full Force Radio, we've talked about loving wrestling and kind of how the aesthetic and metal and all of these other things. I love this. This sucks. I'm leaving. So the big thing for me is that often we discuss how wrestlers, once they're done with their careers, are often completely used up. Their bodies are destroyed, their mental health. I mean, in general, it's one of those things where, they're considered contractors, I think. And so there really is no protection for them whatsoever. They are thrown into a situation, they're run through a couple of different storylines or, put into a couple of scenarios. If it sticks, great. If it doesn't, they get a couple of chances and then they're bounced. And, when your body is on the line and you're concussed or you're breaking bones or whatever, retirement comes early. And if you didn't get the success that really, skyrocketed you to stardom, you don't have a lot of other prospects. That's really, really problematic. And so I think one of the biggest things that I'd love to kind of start off talking about is what you guys are doing in terms of like essentially partnerships with wrestlers. The Raven sale, the Saturn sale, you've got the Sunny Ono drop coming up, which I'm sure we're going to want to talk about. I am, because I'm waiting for my one single Sunny, and probably, you know, some of what's coming down the pipe for that, because you are pretty well connected, and this is a big part of your game, is you're working with wrestlers who are involved, which is super cool. You're not kind of just running with it like a lot of blockchain projects do, just steal someone's likeness or jump on a copyrighted niche. You guys are actively building something that is taking people past, present, future, and bringing them into all of the best parts of play to earn with your game.
Yeah, it's really cool. I've been very proud of what we've been able to do. But what you were saying is incredibly correct. They are independent contractors. The injuries they suffer, most careers are very short. Not only that, you have to remember, because you're an independent contractor and you're not a salaried employee or working with an hourly wage, you actually have to pay for your travel, pay for your hotel rooms, pay for your food on the road. And some of these guys are traveling 250, 300 days a year. The schedule is a little bit lighter now than what it used to be, especially in the 80s and the early 2000s. The schedule is pretty rough. But if you aren't saving your money, and it really is a rock and roll lifestyle. A lot of these wrestlers that I've talked to that have made it through, and like, for example, WCW, WWF, or now WWE, it is a rock and roll lifestyle. I remember hearing a story about Perry Saturn. He ended up, I think there was a house party going on, and he was just partying up with a bunch of people. Some cops came to bust up the house party, and they arrested everyone except for like Perry Saturn and the boys, because he's like, hey, I'll get you tickets to the pay-per-view. And they're like, oh, hell yeah, we want to go to the pay-per-view. And so you get this kind of rock and roll lifestyle. And a lot of people don't think that's ever going to end. For example, I know Perry Saturn specifically told me he never thought that it was going to end. He never thought that he was going to be out of a job. He didn't think that he wasn't going to be a wrestler for the rest of his life. And from a very young age, he trained to be a wrestler. He doesn't know how to do really anything else. That was his occupation. That was his profession. And through the multiple injuries he suffered, you got to remember, every time you take a bump, take a big back body drop onto the ring, it's like getting in a low impact car crash. It's like a 20-mile-an-hour car crash. And you got to remember, your brain is essentially on a stick inside of a jar of water. So every time you take an impact, that brain is moving and impacting with the skull. And CTE is being seen as a very serious thing now in wrestling. Luckily, they got rid of some of the chair shots to the head and things like that. But even just whiplash, you'll see a lot of wrestlers have neck injuries due to the whiplash. I mean, Hulk Hogan's hips are pretty much destroyed just from doing a Hogan leg drop. And he was one of the lightest workers out there. He didn't do a whole hell of a lot. He did a few moves. But even that takes its toll on you the more and more you do it. Luckily, someone like Hulk Hogan has made a big enough name for himself that he made enough money off of it that in the future, he doesn't have to worry about too much. Not everyone is that lucky. And due to the pain and due to the injuries, you have a lot of wrestlers that actually get drug addictions and addictions to painkillers, addictions to drugs and alcohol, and they have to fight through a lot. And what we're looking to do with our partners, for example, our Perry Saturn pre-sale, he got 10% of that pre-sale amount. We sold 10,000 packs at $2 a piece, and he got 10% of that. He was actually able to take that money and use it to pay off his property tax. He had a house that was 12 years overdue on property tax, which means at any moment in time, someone could have came, paid off the remaining property tax, and took his house from him. We literally saved a man's house, and there's nothing more that I'm more proud of than knowing that we were able to help him. And just seeing him walk around that day, and he just kept saying, "It's a good news day. It's a good news day. He was just so happy that he was able to pay some bills. He was able to buy his grandson something nice. He was excited for this general sale, which he got another $2,000 because everyone who we partner with in our future sales, they're putting a pool of 10%. So the 10% was split between Raven, Saturn, and Sunny Ono. They all got $2,000 a piece, and he was so excited he was going to be able to buy his grandson a new video game console, and it's just being able to do little things. And I'll never forget what he said to me. He said, what you have done and what this game has done for me is it's allowed me to be a man again. Thank you. And that really touched me, because a man is someone who takes care of their family, takes care of their loved ones, pays off their debts, is providing for them. And it seriously, it makes my heart swell just even thinking about it. But like I said, we partnered with Perry Saturn. We partnered with Raven. He's been paid for his 10% for the sale that he was involved in. And also, again, they shared 10% in a pool for the general sale. And that's going to be continuing moving forward. Not only that, but they actually get NFT market fees. So anytime one of their NFTs sells, at the end of the month, I go ahead. Actually, it's the first of the month. I pay them for last month's NFT sales. So the 5% we charge on the market for our trustless NFT market, they get that full 5%. We don't touch a single penny of that.
So, I mean, it's hard to kind of come out a whole conversation like that. Like you just touched on all of the hardest parts of wrestling. And it's tough to be a fan and to know like that's what's happening. Whether it is through the fact that, we've seen lots of famous people that rocket to being famous really suck with their money. They don't get a lot of help. They get a lot of hangers on. I mean, all the stuff that you touched on, it's so incredible. Whereas before, the only avenues that you had to kind of interact with or help or support a wrestler would be maybe go to a live event and hope that if they were on the bill that they would get a small cut or whatever the case may be. Like, I'm not super familiar with the way that payment worked, but I think pretty much all of us here can say, well, what we do understand is if you don't wrestle, you don't get paid. If for whatever reason you can't be on a TV slot, or you can't do the touring, or you can't show up to an event where you're signing merch or whatever, you're not getting paid. Like, it's a really sort of it's a really ephemeral type of job. And so here we are, we're blockchain enthusiasts. Like, I mean, you're building on Hive. I'm a Hive evangelist. I do a lot of work, and that's what this show actually came from. Doing live radio, doing live streams, doing talks and everything came from being incredibly passionate about self-sovereign identities, wallet addresses, all of the social connections and value that's transacted on the Hive blockchain. But maybe even more importantly, fast, fearless is the way that we kind of refer to it. So to me, it's brilliant for you to say there's a whole new generation of people who are looking to interact with their heroes. There's a whole new generation of people who remember what wrestling was and loved the glory days and have these wrestlers as, people they wish that they could see or, interact with. But as you get older or as you've retired, it's not possible anymore. So this game that you guys are creating, it's not just play to earn, which is a huge thing right now. And we'll probably talk a little bit about sort of you guys' thoughts on how do you build a long-term sustainable play to earn game. I don't know if anybody watching has noticed, but the entire fucking universe in crypto is on fire right now. Like, it's fine. Put the flames on the screen right here. Things are wild. But one of kind of the weirdest things is Hive doesn't necessarily follow bull and bear markets the same way as every other crypto. And part of that is because it's so inherently tied up with people's social relationships. And for the most part, you don't quit being social with your friends, with your communities. You don't stop playing the games that you love to play. You don't stop making the art you love to make. when the price goes down. Whereas if you are just a speculative trader, or you're an investor, or you're hemorrhaging money for one reason or the other, you back out of the crypto market and we see this winter cycle set in. But for you guys, you are launching in what would arguably be one of the deepest crypto winters that we've, ever had. It's cyclical, but it's not stopping you at all. The pack sales, every new launch, every new piece of information, like, you guys are killing it. You're killing it. And it's right now, you're not nearly as well known as you will be and as you need to be. And you're already destroying every goal that you put out. So I guess maybe might be a good place to kind of talk a little bit about some of the economics with this, or, some of the reasons that blockchain kind of fits Hive. I mean, let's face it, we're here to talk about Hive too. Fits in with your game plan and how it's kind of empowering you to do what you want to do.
Yeah. So I honestly, this project, it's the project, the timing, everything has been perfect. People have been saying like, oh, it's a bear market, crypto's going down. Why would you want to build in this? And it's like a perfect time for us to build, in my opinion. We've also been doing a very slow and natural growth, which has done nothing but help us, I believe. But really, the reason why, so when I first started developing this game and really thinking of it and getting it all started, what I did is I was looking at different places we could do it, trying to find developers and other people that could help with this. And ERC20 tokens, the Ethereum network was just not going to have it. I mean, I remember trying to send $100 to a friend and it cost me like $60 to send it, and they'd get like $40 or something. It was just not going to work. Definitely not going to work. And I was introduced to Splinterlands before I started Wrestling Organization Online. And I will say, without Splinterlands, there would be no Woo. There wouldn't be. And I've said it before. And here's the reason why I'm saying that, is because Splinterlands has shown a way that this could be done and how it can grow into something huge. And everyone who develops on blockchain or tries to make a blockchain game, the biggest thing you run into is everyone wants more money once you hear it's for crypto. Like, oh, it's a play to earn game. Well, instead of charging you $2,000, I'm going to charge you $20,000 now. They just 10x whatever their rate is. But luckily, I was fortunate enough to be able to have a conversation with Agrid, and when I brought the project up to him originally, he wasn't interested in buying the project essentially and like taking it under Splinterlands banner, because we didn't have many developers at that point. We just had basically a wish and a dream. That's all it was a wish and a dream. And he basically just told me, he's like, hey, it's hard being CEO. It's hard getting something built. It's easy to talk about, but everyone talks about things. No one acts on these things. And he gave me some information. And one of the bits of information he said, Hive Engine can help you with this. You could get this website, DeFi Dojo, which allows you to have a collection page, a place to open your packs, and a market where you can sell those packs. And it only cost 1,000 B. At that time, B was just over $1. It was still pretty high at that point. It's a way better price now if you want to do it. But it was about $1,000 to get that website. And to update the pack manager, which is a smart contract offered by Tribal Dex, it was 1,000 B. To make the NFT, I believe it was like 100 B. And so we were able to start this with like an initial investment of about $2,500. Whereas everywhere else I was looking to do anything, we're talking like $25,000, $50,000 minimum. And so when I saw that we could get this started for $2,500, that's still a substantial investment for a lot of people, but it was doable. And so we were lucky enough to have a phenomenal artist that we met, Dom the Sun Artist, who really understood what we were trying to do and had a great aesthetic for the art. And what we did is we started to blog on this even before Peak D. We started a blog on hive.blog, and we would tell people about our project. We would introduce the characters that we're creating, and that's how we slowly built. We just talked about it and blogged about it constantly. I would put out like 2 blogs a week or something like that. And more and more people would start hearing about it. We were able to partner with Perry Saturn, which really helped to give us some credibility. It really helped to give us some legitimacy. And as long as we kept delivering, which we did, we've been around for a year now, and we kept delivering, and we kept doing what we said we were going to do, and we kept interacting with our community, and that's really what made everything kind of explode. We were lucky enough to even do some private sales and make some partners with some asset swaps with, for example, Hive Pizza and the One Up Cartel, and just having them being able to tell their communities. I'll tell you this right now also, like Hive Pizza has been phenomenal for us. Their community coming over and taking our project in gave us a nice base to start with. And we've just been growing from there. And it's really cool. We have flown under the radar for a long time. But again, that's not a bad thing. It's kept pressure low. If I had 10,000 people in the Discord, like asking when Sonny Ono instead of, 50 people in the Discord asking when Sonny Ono, it would be a much different, I would feel more stressed about it, where I can now grow naturally without having a bunch of extra pressure on me and the project. So it's been a good build. I think we're setting ourselves up for a very, very beautiful future when everything turns around and when the game comes out. And it blows my mind. We have done, we've sold, it was 50,000 packs we've sold so far throughout all of our sales. And we have been able to sell out of all of our packs in 1 day or less. Our last sale was 99 seconds. So we were able to sell out of everything. And there's still no working game at this point. People just understand the project. They see the vision of the project, and they believe in the team. That's one of the biggest things. I tell this to the team all the time. Like, hey, our word means something. Like there's so many crypto projects that it's a grab and go. It's easier to ghost them than it is to actually get something done. And we are delivering. We're going to keep delivering, because not only is my reputation on the line, not only is the reputation of Woo on the line, but the reputation of our partners is on the line. Perry Saturn, Raven, Sonny Ono, and our future partners.
I mean, it's one of those things, like, I don't want to make it sound like this sort of not being as known as you should be is a bad thing, because, I can totally see. It's one of those things where you guys, now you're already seeing these successes. I was part of the 99-second sellout. I barely got one transaction for 100 cards in. Barely, just snuck in. And to me, that's fantastic. And it's one of those things, it's more, I am incredibly rooting for you guys. Now, obviously, I love everybody on Hive. I love everyone equally. I'm very excited for all of you. But I think one of the biggest things is when you do have this magic combination, you have a great idea. You have an excellent sort of real world tie-in where there's aspects both of altruism, there's aspects of, gainful employment, profit sharing, building a strong community, using a low-fee blockchain that has tech that's suited to you guys so you can hit the ground running. Like, there's so many things here that have just come into alignment fantastically. And so I'm really excited for you guys. And it's one of these things where, the chat is 50-50, but a lot of really sassy assholes in chat are like, so Sonny? When Sonny? Maybe not 50,000 people asking, but everybody right now still wanting when Sonny. So maybe before the end of the show, we'll talk about that. But so, for me, this is kind of this time where you guys have already proved that FOMO is real. It is real. You are that asshole. Yes, Ray especially. But so the FOMO is real. I felt it in my bones, and I know we've got a ton of people. I'm now in your Discord as well. So for those of you guys who are watching, listening, hanging out, there are a lot of you. First things first, you guys were just listening to BookerMan. He's here with me for another almost hour and a bit, if we don't drive him away with the terrible tech. My name is Crimson Clad, and this is CyberBuzz Radio. And normally, the Discord here in PalNet is bumping, and that's where everybody's hanging out. But of course, for whatever reason, today all my tech exploded. So when you go to watch this on replay, I'm going to cut out the worst of the nonsense, and we'll get right to the good talking stuff. But for a lot of you, you're on Theta, you're on TV, you're on Vim TV, you're on Trovo, you're on Twitch, you're on YouTube, whatever. We're glad to have you. Questions and comments are super encouraged. The chat is all connected. It's over here. I'm watching it and kind of relaying it in because the reality is these guys are one of the most sort of I would say you guys are one of the most responsive teams that I've seen building. And it's really important that you're using the Hive platform, like you said, starting to blog on Hive blog and then moving into the other interfaces. But also, you guys are building your communities everywhere. And so your Discord is bumping. We should probably drop an invite for that. I'll put it in the images, but if you want to drop it, you can't. You're not in the Discord. Oh, this is the most infuriating day ever. Okay, well, I'll find a way to drop an invite to your Discord. Oh, goodness. And so I guess naturally, now that we've been talking for an hour and it's just been me sort of blowing a bunch of happy smoke up your butt, which I'm going to continue to do because I genuinely love the project. I thought maybe we'd kind of move a little bit. Thank you, Acid. There we go. In the chat on the screen, there is a Discord link if you want to join the woo Discord. You can do that. If you haven't checked anything out, I had a bunch of plans for today where, the overlay would look a certain way and we'd be able to browse the website. Well, you see, we're not going to do that because I'm terrified if I touch anything now, I'm going to lose BookerMan again. So we will do more chatting and we'll do some links for the site into the chat as well. And you guys will have to explore it on your own, which technically means you're probably going to go to the site and you're probably going to want to buy some packs and stuff. So I think a good place to maybe kind of jump into here is if there are people watching, listening who aren't already involved in the game, and I know for a fact there are, and want to kind of get prepared for what's coming in 2023, maybe get into the NFTs or explore some of the marketplace. People are wooing in chat. Maybe talk a little bit about what that looks like now that basically every single pack is sold out.
Yeah, so what we're looking to do is one of the biggest things is we want to give value to everything in the project. So not only the token, not only the packs, which are fungible tokens, which mint you NFTs when you burn those fungible tokens through our interface and open the packs. But we look to give utility to everything we have. So not only our NFTs, not only our tokens, but not only our project, but we're looking to make sure that there are many ways to earn in the early days. So we started our Woo token inflation, which is our wrestling organization online token, and there's many different ways you can earn that. Some of the favorites seem to be NFT mining. So if you ever open packs, you will be receiving some NFTs. You could then stake those NFTs and have a chance at earning some of the Woo token every single hour. So what happens is we have about 50 winners in a raffle, and it's the more mining points you have, the more NFTs you have, the better chance you have to win that raffle. But there's 50 users that win. I believe it's like 342 or 346 Woo tokens every single hour. You can also stake those Woo tokens to gain APR. I believe last I checked, it was around 70%. I know we do have our private and staff inflation that will be coming out tomorrow. So that'll take a little bit of a hit, but it's still a really nice APR, especially with no impermanent loss. We also offer liquidity pools with Swap Hive, DEC, SPS, Pizza, and the like. So you're able to add to some liquidity pools and earn an APR on that also. You can hold unopened packs to earn Woo token airdrops every single day. And each pack is its own pool of rewards. So the more people that are opening, for example, Woo Alpha packs, everyone who else is holding Woo Alpha packs would actually get more of the pie every single airdrop. So as more packs are open for people to NFT mine or to sell or do what they want with, you would actually be earning a little bit more Woo token. We also offer some really cool HP delegation. So if you delegate our account some HP, you will be earning Woo token that will be issued as stake token when you claim it. So it'll go straight into compounding. We also, in the future, and it's supposed to be pretty soon here, we're going to actually up that pool, and we are actually going to be adding a multiplier if you decide to also delegate some RC. Because of the new Hive fork, you're able to delegate RC now too. So we're looking to really let people know that they can do that, give people reasons to delegate RC. And there's many ways to earn with Woo. We do have a marketplace up for our NFTs. Again, there's a 5% fee for all NFT sales. The 5% fee for any of our partnered wrestlers goes straight to our partners. Any of the 5% fee that we get, actually 1% of that fee is sold into Swap Hive, and then 1% of Woo and 1% of Swap Hive is put into a liquidity pool to constantly keep adding to our liquidity. But when you come into Woo, and you know, one thing you will notice as you start cracking packs is we take rarity very seriously. For example, you might be familiar with Splinterlands, how they have gold foil cards. We don't have gold foil, but we have gold belt. So each wrestler has either a silver belt or a gold belt, and gold belts are incredibly rare. And that is by design. We think that rarity should be something that is taken seriously, not only in general life, but also like in crypto, in NFTs. Having come from a background of playing Magic the Gathering and so many other card games, there's too many times that I'd see a card that is a foil. I'm like, oh my God, this is a mythic foil. Come to find out there's hundreds of thousands of them that have been printed. And it's like, well, that's how rare is that really? You know, I always think back to, I can't remember the name of the stamp. It's some magenta something, I can't remember, but it's like this super rare stamp. And there's this awesome story about this guy who was at a bar smoking a cigar, and he met with another guy who had one of those stamps, and they took that stamp and he put it on the cigar and burnt it so he would have the only one. And I think that's rare, you know. So we do take our rarity and very seriously. Don't get discouraged if you're not getting gold belts. I opened hundreds of reward packs and I didn't get any gold belts. It happens to everyone.
Oh man. I love that take on it, because I totally know what you're talking about. And so it's an interesting thing, because here we're on, the Hive blockchain, which started very social, but because of, Hive Engine and because of second layer abilities, we do have this really sort of widely growing NFT based system. And, it's really interesting because the people who seem to understand NFTs and rarity the best are people who have something to compare it to in like Meatsack world, the real world, that place that kind of sucks. But the people, like you say, who were playing Magic growing up, or I guess is Pokemon God, you know what? That's old now too. And I was thinking the other day, like I still have my Pogs. I don't know. I'm a
Oh man, Pogs. You got some slammers or what?
It's very Canadian. I still have all my Pogs. But so you know what I mean? Like we understand and sort of that thrill, the buzz, the hunt, everything that goes along with a pack opening. Because we were the kids that were, saving our whatever, our change to go down to the store to buy the bubblegum pack, to tear it open, throw the night crystal, throw the gum on the ground and immediately pull out the sticker or the card or whatever. Like that inherently, we're maybe even the last generation that really kind of got the thrill of that. And now we've got this upcoming generation who understands this new paradigm. But the problem is a lot of the NFT game out there, and don't at me, anybody who comes after this, they're stupid rocks and stupid monkeys and arguably even stupid punks and all that. I personally, and this is just my personal take, I'm not a huge fan of the profile picture projects, the 10K randomly generated, solely based on, can I get a rare one of this thing? It doesn't do it for me. But the reality is value is created where people see value, and that's fine. But for me, when we start tying real games, real earning, and then sort of taking the rarity aspect and having it serve those other goals, now you're onto something because you're capitalizing on that thrill. You are creating value out of rarity, not just because there's 10,000 of something and only one is gold, but you're actually starting to build an economy and an excitement machine that people are really, really into. And we hear, this last summer was DeFi summer, but before that was NFT summer, and everybody and their dog was like, but the utility, there's so much utility. It's got utility. Well, nothing had fucking utility. And so GameFi, and when we say GameFi, we mean like very much like decentralized finance. Well, now we've got game finance. You've got games that inherently have portions of them that are related to essentially managing your money and your assets. And it is a fascinating way to bring people who are a little gun shy of crypto, or who maybe don't have an awesome handle on some types of economics, which is a lot of us these days. You're starting to learn about it in a way that's fun, and you're starting to have a chance to participate in it while still also consuming entertainment and participating in a community. And that's a real difference from just the financial aspects of crypto, where you come in and you're told you're looking for a 100x project, and if you don't have a 100x, you suck, you're a bad trader, and you've lost all your money. Like, have fun staying poor. It's not a great way to help people learn skills that will help them in their life. It's not a great way to get people understanding all of the reasons that being self-sovereign or debanking yourself or all of the sort of weird terms that come along with crypto, why they matter. But when you build a good game that people want to play, now you're starting to get them into a position where you can teach them and you can learn from them too. And I'm excited for you guys because, we're still pre-game. You have got a lot of community stuff going on. Right before the show, you were doing you guys do Jeopardy every weekend. You do the weekend slams. You've got a mini game going on right now. Like, as you said, we still haven't actually hit gameplay. So given that we've been talking a little bit about utility and that stuff, and I know you've probably talked about this in other places, but again, we got people here who are just new to this. Do you want to talk a little bit about the upcoming game and sort of how it mimics what wrestling has always been with circuits and sort of what your possibilities are if you want to start playing, what that's going to look like?
Yeah, I'd love to. I love talking about how the game's going to actually play out. And so, again, we want to bring old school territory wrestling to the blockchain. So back in the day, you had things like the National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA, you had the AWA, American Wrestling Alliance up in Minnesota. You had all these different, the Memphis territory, you had all these different territories around the United States that where you as a wrestler or you as a promoter with your wrestlers would travel around to these different cities, and you would run shows, and you would try to draw some money moving from show to show or from place to place to place with these people. Is very much of a traveling circus style. So when I bringing old school territory wrestling to the blockchain, one of the main things you need land. And so we are going to be doing an NFT land sale here coming next year in Q1. And with that, you'll be buying land, which has different values, for example, fan base, population, wealth, and you'll have to build arenas on your plot of land, where people will then come and bring their wrestlers, because every single person that plays this game is their own independent wrestling organization, and you're playing it online. And so you got to go ahead and travel to these other places and run shows and compete against other players. So let me give you a broad example of how exactly the game's going to work once we go live and you're able to play. You'll log in with your Hive wallet. You'll go ahead and you'll see a map with a bunch of territories on it. You can go ahead and you can pick one of those territories. We'll kind of zoom in and we'll see, a bunch of different cities, a list of cities and their stats. And once you find a city that you like, you'll go ahead and click on that. There'll be a nice red button that you can run your show. When you click run show, at this point, it goes into a matchmaking progress, looking for another wrestling organization who can compete against you. And then when you have found an opponent, you'll actually see, and this is one of the things I love, is the old school posters that you used to get at wrestling shows. It would be in like the main event, a cage match. You would have this wrestler versus this wrestler. But then under that, you would have all these other matches, these tag team matches, female matches, other matches going on. And so when you have found an opponent, you would have a poster that has question mark versus question mark. For the main event. And then there's 3 undercard matches. Those undercard matches are guaranteed 1 male, 1 female, 1 tag team. The main event match will have its own special rule set, but it'll either be a male, female, or tag team match. You will have a budget for your show, and this is how much you can pay out to your talent to run this show. So you will choose which wrestlers will be in which matches. And once you have filled up your side of the poster and you hit submit, and your opponent's filled up their side of the poster and hit submit, you will now both see the poster with Billy Mayhem versus Mad Mike in the main event, for example. You'll have Item A versus Lexi Lawless in an undercard match. Those undercard matches are worth 1 victory point. The main event match is worth 2 victory points. And after the poster is shown, you'll hear an announcer recapping which matches we're gonna see, and then we'll cut into the first match. Announcer's gonna announce their names, bring them to the ring. We're gonna see their entrances with music, possibly even pyro, depending if you got a gold belt or something cool like that. And then we're gonna watch a simulation of that battle, of how that's gonna actually play out. Each wrestler has 3 separate moves. Those moves can be normal moves, pinfall moves, submission moves, or finishing moves. And they all have different rule sets for each of those different types. Each wrestler also has a wrestling style: technical, powerhouse, or high flying. And it works kind of in a rock, paper, scissors style of resistance, where one wrestling style is resistant to another, causing it to be less effective and do less damage. After you've watched the whole simulation, or if you decide to skip it, you can go ahead and do that too. You would then earn some crypto for winning that match. Also, if you're a landowner and you own that plot of land that has been upgraded with an arena for people to come to, you should have some sort of benefit for that. So every single match that is run on your land, you will get a small percentage as a kickback. We have some other really cool things we're looking to do. For example, a lot of games have guilds. We have promotions, which is a group of organizations together running a promotion. And we've got something really, really cool. I'm super excited for this. We are actually going to allow promotions the ability to mint NFT championships that other wrestlers and other players can fight over and take around to all these different territories, win it, lose it, pass it on. And every time that title is defended, any winnings that come from that match, which is going to be increased winnings because it's a title match, there'll be a small kickback to the promotion. So we have some really, really cool things coming forward, but that's exactly how it would be in real life. If you were going to run a wrestling show right now, you would get in a van, you would contact some wrestlers you know, you would drive out to a town, you would rent a building, and you would start putting posters out. That's basically how it goes.
I love this. I love kind of just picturing this in my head because, yeah, I mean, I even think back to the days of playing on, you know, the old N64 or whatever. And I was definitely one of those kids that never actually got around to the wrestling and spent like 15 to 20 to an hour, you know, getting my cool outfit and then building my ring entrance. So, you know, I can't picture a universe where I wouldn't want to watch that every single time my little wrestlers come out and do their thing. I'm stoked for that. So I'm loving watching the sides there. The Munchies McGee card just got brought up. So that's something that I did actually, it's on my list, my internal head list, and we're kind of jumping around all over the place as you're kind of naturally hitting stuff. But I think one of the things that maybe a lot of people who haven't been involved in your community yet don't realize is that you guys have, for those of you guys watching the imagery just down below me here, there's this really cool picture behind BookerMan's head, and that is the team. So you guys have actually created versions. I mean, you're rocking the Hulk Hogan, like, yeah, brother. Like, there's some good stuff going on in there. All of the team in, you know, full wrestling attire. And what some of the people in chat that obviously are kind of a little more on the ball and what's going on in the community, you're talking a little bit about how some of the NFTs that you guys have released are not just regular wrestlers. So, you know, if people have been here since the start of the show, we've been talking a little bit about how Woo has partnerships with wrestlers and the revenue share that's going on there, which is really cool. You've got some huge partners already. But you've also got some cards that aren't wrestlers. You've got lore cards, you've got team cards, and I'm guessing there may be in the future some more that will be kind of not a regular wrestler. So those cards, if you're getting ready to set yourself up to play the game, why are you going to want those? So one of the things I guess that I'll kind of frame this in a different way is, if you're not necessarily a gamer, in terms of I don't actually want to just sit down and play the card games, but I love collecting NFTs. I love opening packs. I want to, you know, passively earn Woo through supporting the project. All of the things you've already talked about. Let's just kind of maybe get you to kind of maybe lay out what it would look like for the different types of people on Hive and beyond. So the way that I usually talk about this is Hive is made up of a couple of disparate groups that all get to interact. But the big four are probably the user base, the regular users. They play games, they make content, they're just here to hang out with each other. You've got the investors, and those are the two groups that I kind of want to talk about in terms of your game. The other two would be business managers and project managers and developers. And Hive works for them, but that's you. So forget you for a second. Let's talk about if you're somebody who wants to play the game straight up. I want to have wrestlers. I want to have cards. I want to play the game. That's kind of what we just talked about. But the second one is I'm just an investor. So I want to talk a little bit about what does that look like if I just want to collect cards, I want to hold on to stuff. Maybe I want to learn a little bit more about the mining aspect or the Woo governance token aspect without the gameplay. And then, yeah, we'll come back to the cards that aren't wrestlers. But I think the investor is a good place to start.
Yeah, we try to give people many different ways, not only to play the game, but interact with our project. So, for example, an investor can come in and buy the fungible token packs, which they could have bought during our sales, or they can buy off of the secondary market. And those packs will actually get you Woo tokens airdropped. And we're airdropping those tokens until next year, July 13th of 2023. And those are guaranteed those are guaranteed woo every single day. For example, we also have our NFT mining. You can get a little bit speculative. I know a lot of people have found some really good deals in the NFT marketplace, and they have bought those cards to either mine with or to hold on to as they increase in value. But as I said earlier, if you have numerous NFTs, if you have more rare NFTs, you'll have more mining points, which could earn you quite a bit more woo every single hour. Depending on how lucky you get with the packs that you open. There's so many different ways that you can interact with the project. I've done some math even and just sitting around and just figuring out like, oh, what is the dollar per mining point? What would that ratio be? And to see which cards might be undervalued using that mathematics. But there's many different ways. Like I said, staking, HP delegation. We have some upcoming burn events coming. So actually, if you have Woo token, you'll be able to actually, I know I've said this before. We haven't put the post out officially yet because I need to make sure it's working and ready to release. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be giving away either tickets to WrestleMania or $700 worth of Bitcoin. So you can actually take your Woo tokens and you can burn them, giving you a raffle ticket into that giveaway event. And again, if you want to go to WrestleMania, awesome. You're going to see some really cool wrestling there. If not, if you live outside the United States, you're not going to be able to travel there, or you just would rather get the monetary value, we'll send that to you as Bitcoin. And again, we chose Bitcoin just because it could get people in from all over the place. Bitcoin's kind of the biggest dog in the fight. So it made sense doing that. But there's so many different ways you can earn. It's a lot of doing some research, coming in, asking questions. I see It's Random here in the chat. He's also random in the Discord. That man is a good person to ask questions to. He has been in this project since the very beginning. He's actually probably our first real like Woo fan. And he's loved it since day one, and he's been doing an awesome job. It's really, really cool, actually, to see people earning, and not only it changing wrestlers' lives, but it's actually changed a lot of people's lives in the project. Not only just staff. Like, for example, this amazing art behind me. Like, I get compliments on this hoodie all the time. Literally every single day. This art was done by Dom the Sun artist. He is phenomenal. I love that man to death. He has done such a great job, and he's our artist from Kenya. And I know personally he's approached me saying like, hey, you don't understand how big of an impact this has played in my life. And I know it's really, really, really done good for him. And that's kind of how I judge this project. If Dom's doing good, we're doing good. That makes me happy then. You know, he is one of the greatest people I've ever had the chance of talking to and meeting. And he does some phenomenal work. And it's really awesome to see that he can be a working artist, because whether it be painting, drawing, film, music, there's very few working artists, and we have been blessed with such a great art team. Dom the Sun, Japex 1226. We have been so lucky with our staff. These guys, these beautiful guys behind us. I know we see Cupins in chat. He's been tremendous in getting our project over on Twitter and the various other platforms. He is the greatest head of marketing I could ever have chosen, and I have been super lucky to build this project with these people. But also, it's really, really awesome to see how all these people from all over the world have been able to come together on this project, and it meaning something to all of them. We have people from Germany, Kenya, America, the UK, all over the world, and it's really awesome to see. And that's what Web3 brings.
That's kind of the magic of this crazy Web3 world, isn't it? I mean, it's one of the things that I think Hive is uniquely suited for. And I know that sounds a little silly, but it's the truth. You know, call it 6 years ago or whatever. When I first started on this blockchain, I was like, I don't know, I'm going to come here, I'm going to share some photos, I'm going to make some magic internet beans. I don't know what this is. Like, I really didn't have a great handle on it. And after the first week, I was completely hooked, and it had nothing to do with the financial aspect and everything to do with a lot of these sort of aligned values for me of self-sovereignty and voluntarism, but also people from all over the world. And we're supposed to already have that with social media, right? Like, I mean, we have social media and we have the ability, the internet's not exactly a new thing. We have the ability to connect with people from all around the world. But there's something, I have to say, there's something about Hive that hits a little different. And so to hear you kind of having brought in all of these team members, you know, built this team that's global, you're putting together a game, you have a wild community already. Random, I mean, like, I already have a love-hate relationship with him. I know nothing. I love that he drops so much alpha. I hate that he has all the perks. So, you know, we're just... so many packs. But it's one of those things where, you know, you have these people whose lives are being changed, but they're passionate about changing other people's lives. It's just, it's the opposite of sort of that, you know, spiraling the drain. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's starting to encompass and eclipse more people. And that's exactly what it should be like. And for me personally, it's part of the reason that when I do meet people like you, or when I do see new projects built on Hive, the first thing I do is sort of latch on and be like, okay, what do you need? As somebody who's, you know, kind of been here since the start, I want to see more people taking advantage of this. And the big thing that kind of, for me, I think is going to be so important going forward is that you will be able, yeah, the markets are dry. I know, my order filled last night and now I'm out of liquid again. So, well, everybody rages about packs in chat. You know, kind of the direction that I was thinking we would talk a little bit more about is, so, you know, you've got a lot on your plate. I mean, you guys have just a couple things going on right now. But probably one of the biggest benefits to Hive, other than the fast and feeless bit, and the fact that you can use a second layer that is not bleeding your project dry, which is, and a base layer as well, frankly, which is the big difference. We talked at the very beginning of the show about how you ended up on Hive in the first place. And so, you know, now that you have this, you've got the tech, you're rolling along, you guys have big plans for the game. One of the kind of best and most wonderful things about being built on Hive is that wallet addresses are identities. And so that basically means that anyone who's ever held Hive of any amount, who's ever had a wallet, is already a potential user for you to onboard. And whether or not they're jumping directly into the game aspect, there's some other things that I'm wondering if it's sort of on your roadmap. And that would be sort of like, do you think you're going to kind of maybe expand into something potentially like a forum, or, you know, having your own front end? Because that's something, yes, hi Q. So lots of people jumping in, saying hi in chat right now. We have one person who's very, very, very insistent that either you or I do 100 squats. And the answer is no, nobody's doing squats. Stop thinking about butts, start thinking about wrestling. So squat person, shh. But everybody else, we've got a lot of people who are, you know, already total groupies. But, you know, given that you were mentioning earlier all the different ways that you have people to get involved with the project, and you know, you guys are already covering off the users and the investors, do you think there's going to be sort of another aspect where you're starting to kind of just build a hub for people who love wrestling to get together? Because I feel like in a lot of ways, that's still a great way for you to get that word out. You've been doing your sort of slow build, and the people you've been finding are super passionate, and it's really working. It's the best way to build sort of a successful project. You've already got it going. Is that something that's kind of on your radar, or?
Definitely on our radar. Not only that, but okay, let me give you like a sneak peek of my dream of what I would love to see happen. So when everything's rocking and rolling, games out, Bitcoin's over 60K again, like when everything's going awesome, one thing I want to do for the expansion of wrestling organization online is I actually want to hold real life wrestling organization online wrestling events where you can actually go and you could buy your tickets at a discount with our Woo token. You could buy VIP meet and greets with our Woo token. And not only that, when we put on this wrestling show, we also want to film it. We want to have an actual a pay-per-view, for example, that you could watch, and then build out a streaming platform where we can actually start working with other independent wrestling organizations and promotions and put them on our platform. Think of like WWE Network, but with wrestling organization online. I can't stop thinking about finally booking the wrestler to play Titan, for example, which is one of the wrestling NFTs that we have, or get our own Mad Mike. But that is another bridge where I want to bring crypto and the real world kind of together to where if, for example, say tickets are $20 and you could get the ticket for $10, but you got to have this Woo token. And if we make it easy enough to onboard you and you to be able to pick this up with some sort of fiat, it would almost be a no-brainer. Well, yeah, why wouldn't I save 50%? But it would also bring more people on Hive, introduce them to what they're all doing, which all the projects are doing on Hive, what all the communities are doing on Hive. And so we're talking about bringing real life utility to our token. And there's so many angles that we want to go with it. But to answer your question, yes, we are looking to the future of doing some sort of front end and being kind of the hub on Hive to talk about wrestling.
Man, okay, so that was not what I expected to drag out of you, but I'm super excited to hear it anyways. Like, hell yeah. So just one or two small and very reasonable goals I see that you have. It's just keeping things incredibly tiny from here on out. So that's, by the way, in chats, Smooms dropped the perfect, you've got your tagline already, get your tickets for a serious ass Woo pin. That's it. You don't even have to pay for that one. That one's for free right there in chat. But so while we're all getting ass whoopings, it's funny because here in the side of the screen, which you probably can't see, I have my luchador mask because when I was growing up, I always loved the High Flyers. Like I was a big Mysterio fan. I loved all the sort of gothy wrestlers where that was that whole period where everybody was really angsty and wearing like black leather, and I guess it was the NWO and everybody was turning and joining. There's so much to wrestling that goes apart from the actual sport. It is storytelling. It is art, it is drama, it is theater. The idea of kind of getting involved with real wrestling events. Hi, TJ, you found us. Good. So lots more people are hopping in. So if you've been here for the last little bit, you know what's going on. If you haven't, given that I'm seeing lots and lots more people hopping in chat, numbers are beep booping all over the place. My name is Crimson Clad. This is CyberBuzz Radio. On Saturdays around this time, I normally talk about disruptive technology. We play synthwave music. It's a live radio show. Today, I have BookerMan from Woo, Wrestling Organization Online, and we're chatting a little bit about the game. We're talking about all of the hard work that's gone into it, all of the exciting stuff upcoming. If you guys have questions and comments, then feel free to drop them in chat. Wherever you are, they'll come through. We'll be able to address them. But we've been chatting for about an hour and a half now. I will say the start of this stream was real rough, and some of the things I would like to do in this stream, like potentially open my first pack, I'm a little bit nervous to do because I'm worried that I will literally launch BookerMan into space again. So, in the interest of continuing what has been a really awesome conversation and having a lot of fun, when you kind of touched on, can we start involving Woo token that has a an ability to kind of get you into real wrestling in real life, that's a fantastic thing. It's a fantastic idea. And something that kind of stuck out to me is earlier when you were talking about promotions and having sort of groups that could build their own titles that could be competed for, it kind of sounded to me like something that's a really sort of interesting crypto only aspect. And that's the idea of a soul-bound token. So I'm kind of wondering if this is something that kind of will come into play for you guys, especially if you do start throwing your own events. Now, for those of you who are watching or listening and you're not 1,000% sure, this is sort of a generally accepted term. A soul-bound token is something that is connected to you on the blockchain forever. You can't buy it, you can't sell it, you can't get rid of it. It's there. And often they're used as proof of attendance or like achievements. And this is one of those things where we know that humans are intrinsically motivated by getting a new shiny, especially something you can't just pay for. It drives us nuts, but we have to have it. And so I'm wondering if maybe one of the next steps that's doable on the roadmap that is, leading up to these awesome goals that I have no doubt you're going to hit is, something like that, whether it is a part of your game or you use a system like HiveBuzz, the idea of these soul-bound tokens as markers of either gameplay or collectors or, supporters of the project, something that maybe is it on your radar? Have you thought about it? You have.
Yeah, definitely thought about that. I especially when it comes to for example, in the future when we do want to run actual shows, that was something that definitely we've talked about. And then also for like the NFT championships, we've worked out a way that we believe it's going to work, and it's kind of similar to how and when it's so funny because I when I first had this idea and brought it up to Tobias G, our developer, and I said, this is how I think this would work. I've been in crypto since like 2013. So I've been around the block a little bit. I understand how it all interacts and how things should work in my head. And when I came up to Tobias and told him how I thought we could do NFT championships, come to find out Rooney, the Splinterlands Rooney, is going to be handled basically the same way, which is you would actually stake that NFT with account that is in the game. You would transfer the ownership to the account for it to be actually delegated out and passed around to the different people that win it, and so that it can constantly be moving around. But then also there'd be a nice little memo there for who actually owns it, and when that person wants to vacate that title and take it back, they would be able to do so. But we have some really, really cool, and like, to be honest, the NFT championships, to me, like, that in my head is going to be one of the biggest things. Like, I think that is so cool, being able to build your own championship that just automatically gets passed around to people that compete for it. You could start earning some prestige where the title that random's going to mint, everyone's going to want to fight for that one. It's going to be this prestige that is built into this title that you could then vacate and sell to someone else, a new wrestling promotion that wants this prestigious title as theirs. It all comes back to giving value to our users and having users have actual ownerships of their assets. The biggest reason why I came up with Wrestling Organization Online and want to get into this type of gameplay, even with Splinterlands, Gods Unchained, and all of that, I played a lot of Magic Arena, and it pissed me off beyond belief that I spent hundreds of dollars on packs that I could open, but I couldn't do anything with the cards. Like, I couldn't send them to my buddy to play a game with me. And that's when I really was like, hey, I know about NFTs. It's been long enough now that there's someone who's made some sort of game or app where we can do this, and it's much, much better. having actual true ownership. And when I explain NFT gaming and crypto gaming to someone, usually they are also gamers. And I say, hey, do you know how you have Steam, for example, and you play your games on Steam? Okay, have you ever heard of the game Rust, for example? Oh, you could buy these Rust skins for your guns, and you can use them in game, and then you could sell them on their marketplace. Crappy thing is, if you ever get banned by Steam, you'll lose all your crap. All your stuff is gone. You don't actually own it. It's not in your wallet. And that's why I think Web3, NFT, crypto gaming is going to boom, because when people realize they can do something they've already been doing, but they actually own it now, that's a game changer.
I'm trying to mute you in the background here as I go, gosh, this is just the slowest. You're so tolerant. Thank you. Yeah, man, some of the stuff that you touched on there is so important. And it's a really interesting thing, because crypto is, what's a good word? Crypto can be very divisive, especially for a new person. And so, we were talking about earlier how wonderful it is to have sort of the game as a construct for, teaching. But one of the things that I think is so important that you touched on there is that true ownership aspect. And the thing that gets me so jazzed about Web3 and Hive and gaming in general is exactly as you put it. It is that true ownership aspect. That's absolutely number one. Anything that you've ground for, anybody who spent, 14 hours killing boars in the forest, if you had to work that freaking hard for an asset, playing a game, it should be yours. It shouldn't be able to just poof away because, the game's 5 years old now and we're just taking the servers offline, or whatever the case may be. But, one of the things that I think is kind of just starting to hit momentum is these games like yours, where we're so used to hearing that everything in blockchain needs to be fully decentralized, fully open source, fully anybody can contribute to it. And I don't 1,000% agree with that. And I get a lot of flack for this, but I think this is kind of why gaming is going to be so important. A hybrid approach in the Web3 space is really, really valuable. When you have a base layer token like Hive and you build on a blockchain like Hive, everything inherently is yours. It's owned. You still have the ultimate control. You're the arbiter of that account. But it allows projects like yours, it allows you and your team to reap all the benefits of what a centralized company can do. And that's pay your employees, have a roadmap, all of the stuff that makes projects successful. You can draw on that. But when it comes time to explain to someone, why do you play my game? You can also say, all of that, we're fantastic. Here's what we've built. But you have power as well. You have the ability to get some of our governance token. You have the ability that if you do want to stop playing someday, you have those assets and you can do what you want. And that we can't deplatform you and we can't remove you from this space once you choose to enter it. Now, I feel like that's something that's vastly overlooked, especially when you do talk about peer-to-peer games, multiplayer games, battle games. There's always going to be that chance, especially if you've got kind of a chat aspect or you're playing live with someone else, chance that somebody's not going to be very nice while they're playing the game. It's absolutely your right as a project to say, listen, as we're creating the best gaming experience, the best community, you suck, and we don't want you here. You should be able to have that granular control, but at the same, by the same token, those people should be able to still have their assets. And to me, that's really incredibly valuable, because that's the number one space that we've seen what's happening in the game industry, especially the AAA game industry. Hey, Schmoogle! Happening right now is you have these studios that invented the loot box. Looking at you, EA. It's trash. It's gambling. It's horrible. And then, yes, you're deplatformed from their servers. And as you said, all that money you spent for one reason or another, maybe it's nothing to do with you. Maybe they geo-blocked you. Maybe your ISP doesn't want to connect you anymore. There's 1,000,001 reasons why, for some some reason in a centralized or traditional game space, you could be separated from the value that you've created. Whether those are unique assets, whether those are hours of gameplay that you put in, like, believe it or not, that is still valuable to a lot of people. Like, I don't 1,000% want people to see how many hours I've stunk into every version of Skyrim, but at the same time, I would be very sad if I, loaded it up one day and all my save files were gone and I could see that those 500-hour playthroughs were all gone. Value is very different for everyone. And it's the love of crypto for me is value can look like an NFT. It could look like a vote on somebody's post. It could look like the ability to write a comment on a news article that I'm not allowed to do on Facebook. It could be frantically, it could be something like maybe I'm a really big asshole and I've been banned from every front end. But, the ability is the worse that you act, you are having some things removed from you, but how bad do you want it? Because crypto and blockchain and Hive in general will back you up. If you've been deplatformed from Peak D, well, you can try another front end. If it turns out all the front ends hate you, well, okay, you can actually create your own version of condenser and anybody can go and see what you're, putting into the chain there. You're blocked at a node running level. Run your own node. It's not necessarily easy, but it's possible. And that's incredibly, incredibly valuable, especially for people who are coming to you and saying, I want to put money into your project. I want to, take advantage of everything you've built. I also want to know that that is valued and protected. So, I'm really stoked to hear all of the stuff that you guys have going on, because it's very clear that you've thought about this from all of the angles that crypto kind of has to offer. Now, you mentioned you've been in the space since 2013. So realistically, you look quite young, but you're probably on the inside like ageless and undying, right? Like Cthulhu under the ocean, because 2013 to now, you've seen some shit in the crypto space.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about sort of the crypto values and whatnot. But again, I'm seeing some messages coming through where people are like, but what about FTX? And I was like, I don't care about FTX, but as an overarching space, what's happening in these big exchanges and what's happening in the crypto world is going to have an impact on people who were just getting brave enough to step into this space. I think one of the kind of valuable things that you have going on is your website kind of leads you right back to, here's your wallet, but it's actually your Hive wallet. Here is the DEX. So you can go trade these things. We're not going to get involved. It's all self-sovereign. Is that going to be something that you're going to kind of take out and talk to people about? Because I know for a fact, most people, unfortunately, look for what is familiar. And what is familiar is traditional banking structure, traditional economies. So it's horrible, but not surprising that a bunch of people got into crypto and literally got burned by big banking practices, that were just replicated on, blockchain. That's literally what happened with FTX. It's a bit of a stumbling block, but do you guys kind of have a plan to use that as part of your marketing or kind of bring that into your teaching? This is yours and you control it?
Yeah, so I always make myself very open if anyone has any questions on anything. Anytime I tell people about the project, the biggest thing I let them know is that these are your assets, you own it. And it's not just monopoly money. It's not just fantasy internet money. It actually has value. You can liquidate positions. For example, we liquidated $6,000 to be able to pay back Sunnyona, Raven, and Saturn. They're all fully paid back now. And if someone says that this is internet funny money and it's not actually real, that's obviously they're not educated in the space. But that's the vast majority of people. Most people see things from, hey, if I can't use my Visa debit card, it's not real. And we are trying to bridge that. And one thing we're going to do with the land sale is we are going to be trying to take fiat currency just to get people in the door so that they could participate in the sale if they want to. And from there move forward. Because, for example, for me, I've been interested in crypto forever, but like getting money into crypto originally was super hard. Like back in the early days, like getting crypto, like a lot of times you had to go to like faucets. Like you just like, I remember when they had like Bitcoin faucets and stuff, you just like log in and you just get crypto. But it took time, and it took all these other centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges to come in to allow people to do it. I love kind of what Coinbase is doing now too, by allowing you to have like a Visa debit card with your Coinbase account, so you can actually just freely use your crypto. I think steps like that are super important for people to be able to mend it in their head. And I know a lot of the older generation too. For example, my mom, anytime I talk to her about crypto, she doesn't understand it. But then when I explain it as something like, oh, hey, you haven't used cash in years. You just use credit cards and bank cards. You just slide this thing. And a lot of times on the internet, you just type in a number and then you hit enter. Okay, that's all you got to do with crypto. You just type in a wallet address, the amount, and press send. It is not much different than that. And a lot of people get confused with NFTs and stuff. Oh, these are just pixels on a screen. I could just right click save as. And then I start explaining it to them. Nope, it's more of think of it as a digital receipt. Think of it as your car title, but on the blockchain. Think of it as a certificate of authenticity. And once you start giving people those little bits that they can draw off in the real world, they start wrapping their head around it a little bit more. But we have to be able to onboard people in. We have to allow people to transfer their fiat into crypto to be able to join in. And we want to have that bridge come land sale, not only to be able to take fiat in for the company, because it's always good to diversify your assets, but also to allow people an easy onboard that, let's be honest, to set up a Hive account, it takes a few steps, to interact with the Hive blockchain. It can be daunting even for people that are crypto savvy. Sometimes it takes a little bit for them to understand it, but once they understand it, they're good to go. When we allow people to use their fiat to enter the space, to not have to learn all that stuff first, where they can learn it as they go, I think that's the better route of doing things.
It's a really tricky thing. And I mean, it's a whole nother topic in itself, is that obviously the people who have control of fiat dollars and where they are coming and going very, very much do not want it going into a blockchain space, right? Going into a ledger that they don't have control over. But yeah, you mentioned talking to your mom in there, and sort of how do you approach explaining this very esoteric concept to someone who just has no clue? And that's the perfect way to do it, is simply to say, hey, do you know what's in your bank account day to day? Who's in control of that? It's numbers on your screen. You check it on your phone. You take some numbers away. What if the bank website goes down? Or what if tomorrow when you logged in to your bank website, the number was different, but you didn't do anything? What happens? What recourse do you have there? And the answer is only what they give you. And it's very different with the ledger. The concept is the same, but the arbiter of truth is everyone. And it's lovely. So just to kind of touch on that idea of how difficult it is to kind of get into crypto still, it's easier than ever and still quite hard. I will say, I noticed TJ and some other people talking a little bit about it as well. So in the terms of Hive, I actually am one of the ones who does all of the exchange liaison. So I work with all of the centralized and, decentralized portals to have Hive listed there. One thing that's quite tricky, and that I'm hoping to make some strides on this year, but I'll just touch on it while people are asking. SimpleSwap does have Hive. Changelly does have Hive. Both of them right now are waiting to come back up. Anything that is a swap site is essentially they are using one of the big centralized exchanges. They're using the API. That's essentially what a swap site is. So you send coins to it, they go get the coins you need and give them back to you. They're basically interacting with a centralized exchange on your behalf. So since we did just have a hard fork, Many of the swap options are still offline because the backing services that they use are still upgrading their software. But one thing that I kind of want to throw out there is that the US specifically is incredibly problematic, really, really problematic with their rules. And so this has been my big goal over the past year, as I've just been beating my head against it, is getting Hive listed in a US portal for exchanges. And we're listed on quite a few big exchanges, but always the global portals. And so, yeah, the US regulations are quite tricky in some ways. But one thing that I kind of want to put out there that I think is really interesting, you follow crypto, you might have seen the library, what's going on with them. And so for everybody who's just watching, it's essentially sort of it's a little bit like IPFS. It's a file sharing blockchain. That's what the library, LBRY, is all about. And basically, they were taken to court by the US government talking about, well, your token is a security. And this has been something that is always a problem in the crypto space for the last, half a decade or so, is tokens that were, sold in certain ways or distributed in certain ways are a little bit problematic and could be, considered securities. Well, Hive is a little different. Hive has no founders portion, has no pre-sale, has, none of those aspects that are the number one red flag. But the problem is, as a truly decentralized blockchain, there's no company, there's no CEO. And exchanges, especially centralized exchanges that have insurance backing, hate that. They want a scapegoat. They want someone that will be legally responsible. So I totally agree for the people who are talking about being, especially in the States, wanting to use something like Transact or, trying to get money directly from your bank card or PayPal into Hive. It's definitely tricky. Not financial advice. A VPN is probably your friend. I would look into it, but we don't recommend that here. I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm certainly not your financial advisor. But this is something very much that is something that I'm personally working on this year. And I've made some strides. So, just root for us in the background. But in terms of for you guys, that's absolutely doable. It's a little bit different when you're trying to come directly into the Hive blockchain. But for you guys, that's that magic part of being a corporate structure and a company, and being able to kind of work with somebody who can do the money exchanging process. So you guys will be able to have that money straight into your game, which is really awesome. And one of those benefits from having that hybrid approach is you can help people get into the base layer token, but also for the people that are coming through you that need the onboarding, that want to get in and want to buy assets, you'll be able to take advantage of the fiat structure. I'm just taking a look at the time. We got about 15 or so minutes left. It's flying by. So people in chat are pointing out that you can pay with PayPal on Splinterlands. Same sort of thing. They're going to be using a service that allows them as a company to take money. So don't worry about it. You're going to be able to do that very soon in the future for all these great games. But so as we come up to the end of the show, not the end, but sort of the end. I'm not going to open my packs live on air, which is maybe sad. Oh. Maybe later we'll jump in a Discord room all together and I'll open some. But so that's something that I was saving that I kind of wanted to talk about is, the show's been going for a while now. The noobs were asking questions at the start, and now we've kind of got the existing community members taking over. You mentioned some of the community members who've been pulling, coming through all of your posts and listening to all your AMAs and kind of extracting all of the alpha and, building great things. I don't know how to say his name. Arkash. I don't know. He built the whole spreadsheet for mining. But one of the things that I thought maybe we'd quickly talk about is, see, everybody's like, you got to do it. Fuck it. We got to do it live. One of the things that I thought we'd talk about before the end of the game is everybody was teasing about how much knowledge you have packed in your brain. I want to hear from the horse's mouth. I have some alpha packs. I have some reward packs. I have some Saturn, and Raven packs. I've got a little bit of everything. And I am paralyzed with indecision and terrified by my awful luck. So I've opened nothing. Now, if you guys were listening, you would have remembered that that still is earning me airdrop points. Hooray! That's working out real well for me. But I'd like to know, what do you think should be done in a situation like this? What I'm thinking is potentially opening some alpha, because maybe reward packs will give me a better drop. But I'm just curious, if you could say, listen, everybody's coming in, they've bought packs, and now they're all standing around, not sure what to do. Knowing the game and earning mechanics prior to everything being launched, what's a good strategy right now?
So if you want to get into NFT mining, you got to remember the minimum mining points for a Woo Alpha pack. Yeah, you get 5 NFTs in that pack, but if you get a common, it's only worth 1 mining point. A legendary is worth 80, and legendaries are quite harder to pull in alpha packs. Alpha packs are great because they're going to allow you to be able to play the mini game, and they're great because they give you more NFTs. But in my opinion, with the numbers I've crunched, I would say Raven packs are probably your best bet to actually get into NFT mining, because you can get a Raven tutorial card, which is worth 100 mining points. You also have a chance at pulling a Raven, which could give you upward of 2,080 points. I say Raven packs because they have lower airdrops than Saturns and rewards currently, because fewer of those have been opened. But reward packs give you the most amount of Woo token airdrops every single day. Alpha packs are great to have, but if you actually want to get into mining, I would say it would probably be Raven packs, for the simple fact that you have a chance at 100 minimum, 100 mining points. You could get 2,080 mining points with just a silver belt Raven. You could get a gold belt tutorial lore card, which would give you like something like, I want to say it was like 8,000 mining points. Or you can go crazy and get one of the gold belt Ravens, which would give you like over 200,000 mining points. That's like a guaranteed win, like every single hour. If you have enough packs to open, again, I think Raven packs are probably a good pack to start with. Alpha packs, if you have much more of those, I would say hope for some gold belts, but your base amount of mining points is lower with opening alpha packs.
Okay. All right. So I'm watching chat because I'm getting a lot of opinions in chat, and it's actually, you all seem to agree. So once the stream is over, I'll definitely open a couple, because I'm telling you, this is the other community part is, people come into the Woo Discord and they're opening packs and everybody's, watching together and getting all excited. And some of the luck that I am seeing is wild. I mean, honestly, it's better marketing.
It is.
It's better marketing than you guys have done, and you guys have done a good job. But I see somebody who's opened a spread, I only opened 12 packs and I got 3 gold belts. Like, what? What?
During one of my streams, I was doing the hunt for the gold belt, and I opened, I think, like 400 of my own personal Raven packs. I pulled 0 gold belts out of those 400. I gave away a bunch of Ravens. I mean, a lot of people in chat that were here for that, we gave thousands of dollars worth of Ravens away. It was insane. I gave away like all of my Ravens.
I mean, crepes. Well, and then you went out and ended up buying one, right? I think you ended up actually picking one up.
Yep.
So I have a question to ask, and this might be stupid, but listen, if anybody's going to ask stupid questions, it's me, and then that breaks the ice. And as we get to the end of the show, because you guys have 10 minutes left to ask your questions, I The other thing I was thinking about in the back of my head, we were talking about, rarity and all of the math that goes into making sure that the things that are rare are rare. And I realized, should I be panicking the more I see pulled? Is there a cap on the amount of, let's say there's X amount of these packs, and inside of them there will be no more than, not real numbers, don't quote me, 10 gold belt ravens in all of the gold. So, this is a question that literally just hit me is, should I be watching what's out there? Should I be thinking about what's happening?
So I don't think you have to worry about that. For example, like our Sunny Ono, the way we minted that, those have specific numbers, but each pack, when you open a pack, what is actually going on is you're taking a fungible token, and we use the pack manager, which is offered by Tribal Decks. And when you open it through an opening interface, what it actually does is it burns that fungible token, and it gives you non-fungible tokens, NFTs, in exchange for that. And so it's all probability based. We have a general idea of how many there should be, but it could be plus minus. For example, I didn't think I was going to see a gold belt Sheila ever. And then on the very first sale, the Perry Saturn pre-sale, Kenzie Mord opens a gold belt Sheila, and I screamed. And now I think there's been 3 of them, 3 or 4 of them, which is it's crazy to see. You have an idea of what these numbers could be, but it could be vastly different than that just due to probability. So again, every time a pack is opened, actually dice is rolled. That's how this pack manager actually works, is it rolls dice to figure out which one it's going to mint. So there's no max number. Actually, the Woo NFT series is infinite. The NFTs are infinite, and the only thing they are actually tied to is how many fungible tokens there are. So when we minted 60,000 Woo Alpha fungible token packs, that means there was only, was it 300,000, 60K times 5? There's only that many NFTs, but there's not a set on each individual NFT. It's all probability.
So thank you, because that's really cool. It's one of the things that a lot of us who don't get a good chance to kind of understand the inner workings on, right? And especially for me, base layer, I know a lot. I know a lot about Hive, but some of these sort of fascinating things that enable these awesome second layer stuff to happen, that's really cool. And I love the idea of, even you guys don't know. There's something kind of fascinating about that. And I have heard about the scream heard around the woo, I guess, instead of around the world. I've heard about it. So, that's cool, right? You can't replicate that kind of true excitement and interest in pack opening. We can't, we're addicted. I know how many people in chat have started opening packs and been like, it's going to open 5 and it's 260. 260 later.
Popping packs, I can't stop. It's like Pringles.
Yeah. So, that's cool. Thanks for explaining that. Because that was one thing that I was thinking, maybe somebody else is as dumb as me and interested in it, or maybe somebody's slightly worried. But that's a great idea, is that, you are constantly playing chicken with the idea of, am I not going to open these packs to kind of sit on them? Their value goes up, or I'm going to get more reward points, or I'm going to open them right away and build a stacked mining deck and know what I have going into the game and where I need to augment my team. But the reality is whatever you choose, you're not actually making it any less likely for you to be missing out on the good stuff, which is great. So coming down to the last 8 minutes, we've covered a lot of ground today. You've been very gracious, even with all the insane technical difficulties. So perhaps one of these days we'll try this again as we get in the new year, and you've got, fun things like land sales, and this new manager drop is completed, and you've got more of the final airdrops for your private sales going out. There's a lot coming down the pipe, even in the next 2-3 months. So, if you're open to it, we could do this again. But I'm going to be that dick that goes back to chat and says, when Sunny Ono. So I know you literally just said that there's no pressure on you when you don't have 50,000 people, but there's many of us here who are curious. And so without putting pressure on you to do it, this is something that I know you're so excited about, that, I know Sunny is excited about, that there's lots going on. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because this is a milestone. This is a big one here.
Yeah, so I was hoping we would have Sunny Onos to be able to be claimed yesterday. Unfortunately, there has been some roadblocks. Again, the biggest thing is making sure that everything is tested and works as it should, so it's a good end user experience. Because the last thing we want to do is leave a bad taste in people's mouth and just rush out a bad experience. I would much rather take a little bit more time to make sure we have a good experience. I will say we will have them before Thanksgiving. That is the best you're going to be able to get from me at this point. You'll have them very, very soon here. It's going to be claimable on the website. You'll actually have to go there, click to claim it. There was, I want to say it was 282 Sunny Onos that were guaranteed to people that bought in bundles of 100. But I looked at the distribution because we've already figured out who gets what, and we've already had that randomized. But the cool thing is I've seen accounts that bought 20 packs that got a Sunny Ono. I've seen people that bought with single digit packs that were able to acquire a Sunny Ono NFT. And I think people are going to be really, really happy with the distribution. I know there were quite a few people that missed out. And to be honest, it kind of breaks my heart seeing some of these videos and blogs about how they missed it. I feel so bad because it's like, oh man, but we only had a limited amount of them. It's it just is what it is. And Random keeps saying Sunny Ono on Black Friday. He knows I love having my days of importance for releases. Don't listen to Random. He's lying to you. He knows nothing. All right. He knows nothing. He might know everything. I'm not going to tell, though.
I will say, I was going to be a jerk there for a second and be like, well, but I'm Canadian and we already had Thanksgiving. So, but, our Thanksgiving, throwing it out there, our Thanksgiving is not a real Thanksgiving. We saw you guys do it once and we were like, oh, neat. You have a holiday. I mean, we don't have any rocks. We don't have any pilgrims, the rest of that stuff. But October, we could use a stat day. Let's make a turkey. So, our Thanksgiving is knockoff Thanksgiving at best. So thank you. You're very gracious. I am looking forward to it. I've got exactly one Sunny Ono, and for some reason I've turned blindingly red on camera. It's the warning lights letting us know we're coming to the end of the show here. I was entitled to exactly one Sunny Ono. So I've got my fingers, my toes, any appendages that can possibly be crossed. That would be very exciting for me. So we'll see. I'm personally invested in the outcome of this. So since we're here, I did see a couple of questions in chat. I will admit none of them were woo related. So I'm going to open this up because I could see I've got people on Twitch. I see people chatting from Vim, YouTube. There's lots going on. If you guys have any questions, let's face it, Booker is amazing and does AMAs all the time. He's constantly in and out of the chat. You've got lots of people in the community who will help you out, but you do have an opportunity here in the winding down last seconds of the show. If you've got any questions, then that's great. One thing that I did see that I thought was a great suggestion is that you guys are coming up on a time where maybe your FAQ could be updated. Because, even over the course of today's show, the amount of information you dropped was wild and vast. And I think a lot of it's going to be really useful for people coming in. So while people are kind of, monkeying away in the background at their keyboards, I figure you want to kind of wrap her up. You've covered a lot of ground, but if you could kind of have a 30-second, 40-second, 1-minute spiel about what this is, where it's going, and why everybody should come with you. This is it. This is the time.
Yeah, I always like to tell people it's again, Wrestling Organization Online is looking to bring old school territory wrestling to the Hive blockchain, and we're looking to leave wrestling better than we found it. We have partners in wrestling, both professional retired wrestlers, and we are going to be partnering with up and coming wrestlers. We're looking to make a positive impact to where a whole entire class of worker has been abused for numerous years in the United States. And I'm just going to be blunt with it. They have been abused as a whole class of worker. There's no union. There's no real representation. And we are looking to come in and fill a niche, fill a need in the industry, and also have an awesome game that people are able to play and be able to play in many different ways. Whether you want to get some wrestlers and rent those out to other people, whether you want to buy land and not even run any shows, but just upgrade your land and let people come to you, and you earn passively off that. If you want to actually travel around with these band of wrestlers and go to these different territories and dominate other fools, you can do that. We give so many different opportunities, and as we look to grow, we're going to increase those opportunities for our users, for our partners, and for our project.
Woo! I want to dominate some fools. I'm in. Hell, I'm coming with you. So the MSP Waves feed on the radio has gone off air. It has a hard deadline, but I will say, the rest of the streams, if we go a little bit over, that's fine. Hold My Cards kind of came back to a question that I asked and then immediately sort of ADHD'd away from, which was, you've got these team NFTs, which are the awesome pieces of art behind you. You can get them out of the reward packs when you open them, potential for getting the team NFTs. Everybody wants to know potentially what they'll do, but right now they're kind of like mining powerhouses, it seems like, right? So if that's the case, what happens when the mining period is up? That maybe is something we didn't touch on, is that distribution is up in July of next year?
Yeah. So unless there's some sort of votes to extend NFT mining or something like that, but we always thought of it that you would actually want to use your NFTs to actually play the game and earn at that point, instead of just mining with those NFTs. But the staff, the lore, and like the Raven tutorials, for example, we are going to have uses in the actual game. We've talked about with some of these lore cards, maybe you would have to stake or burn some of those lore cards to upgrade your arena to give, for example, technical wrestlers some increased stats. We've talked about having a statue of Munchies McGee in your arena, where you use all of your Munchie McGee staff cards, and you combine them into a statue in your arena that gives you a benefit in your arena that other arenas that come in later will not have that benefit of. If we're sitting here burning all these lore cards and all these staff cards to get these awesome benefits for your arenas, the people that came in early and built their arenas early and have these assets to be able to be used in their arena will have an arena that is unlike anywhere else. So people will want to come to yours more often. People will look at yours first instead of going to other cities, other places. And so not only that, but we're also looking at different ways that those could be used in future sales too. Whether that be you would need so many of these cards to give you some sort of discount. You could use them to actually partake in certain sales. One of the things we're looking to do with our partnered wrestlers, not just the ones that we release as NFTs, but we're looking to partner with wrestlers where we don't release their likeness, but we actually buy merchandise from them to give away in like loot boxes, delivery services where you can subscribe with your Woo token. So we have a few different avenues that we're looking to use those for. Nothing exactly set in stone 100% right now, but they will have uses after mining. They're not just going to be just for mining. We make sure everything has uses.
All right. Yeah. Fantastic. And that's, more than enough information than we're entitled to, but that's exactly it. And, Random, obviously, again, not very dumb, quite wise in the way of woo, is talking about, well, you know what? That's actually a great thing. It's great that it is nebulous right now in that, everybody that's got them, you don't have to make these decisions and you're going to have to base them on what do you know about the team? What do you know about the community? What do you want to do with the project? You know what? Like, seriously, we keep telling you you're self-sovereign and you own these assets. How's that going to play out? So I'm stoked. I'm totally stoked. I thought I had one more question, but I think it's probably a good place to wrap it up here. I will say I had wrestling's been in the forefront of my mind right now, and I'm so stoked for you guys to be doing everything at this time. I will say I just saw the other day one of the teen heartthrobs is getting older also, because apparently we're aging. It's terrible. And I think it's Zac Efron is going to be playing a golden age wrestler in an upcoming movie. And I kind of thought, well, shit, I wonder if this is going to do that thing that always happens in mainstream media, which is one thing kind of happens and then everybody else creates more entertainment based on it. I know lots of people are talking about wanting to see, Hogan biopics and things like that. But I'm trying to remember the name of the wrestler. I can't off the top of my head. Oh, yeah. Of course you know.
Yeah. Which I'm really excited for, because it's the Von Erichs were Texas. Texas loved them so much, so when the Von Erich boys were caught with drugs at an airport, Texas was like, no, that didn't happen. But it's a really tragic story, actually. Many of them have come to some sad endings. It's going to be a great story, and it looks like Zac Efron's taking this super serious. The guy's getting freaking jacked, just straight jacked. And wrestling has really been in a boom period too. AEW, All Elite Wrestling, has now been around for 3 years. They are direct competition. Another billionaire owns a wrestling company. It's crazy. Not only that, but independent wrestling has been on fire for a number of years. That's how I was able to get so much work, because I was able to travel around all these different towns and film all these different events and meet all these awesome people. But also, for example, like Dark Side of the Ring and Tales from the Territories, those series on Vice have brought a lot more people back into wrestling. And I think it's a great time for us. It's a great time for us to be where we're at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And so before I kind of draw you into the two of us just nerding out about wrestling stuff, for another hour or so, we'll kind of wind it up. So everybody's like, over the packs. Yes, we'll do that. So if anybody wants to come over to the Woo Discord, we'll just hope that I'll be able to hear you. So listen, thank you so much. Thanks for this whole journey. I'm glad you came running over and said hi to me at Splinterfest. But I'm looking out for big things, and one of the things that I keep mentioning is I'm going to gently nudge you towards potentially using some more of Hive's resources to support you guys as you grow. But yeah, I really appreciate that you took the time to chat with us today. Hopefully we'll do another stream in the future. For those of you who have been here since the start, you didn't see how bad that was. We're going to trim it in the replay, and we're going to kind of get it down to just the good stuff, right into where we're actually hearing each other and having a good stream going. So you've got more stuff coming up. The best way to find everything in all of the links on all of the platforms. I've shared the website for the project. I've shared your Twitter. You've got obviously presence on the Hive blockchain. So we've shared the Discord invite a couple times in chat. What's the best way, the number one way to kind of get connected to all the stuff that you are doing? Where should people go right now?
I would say Discord's probably the best, because you can ask questions directly and get them answered pretty quickly. We have knowledgeable community helpers and a knowledgeable community that can help. But other than that, it would be reading the blog posts on Hive at rest.org online. Those would be really the two biggest and best. The only reason I say Discord over Hive is because you can directly ask a question there and get almost instant feedback.
Alrighty, we're gonna wrap it up, guys. So for everybody watching the stream, we're gonna cut off unceremoniously, but go check out Woo, and everybody on a 1, 2, 3, woo! Woo!